you know, Larry had certain expectations on the workshop that he came to. It wasn't anything he'd done before, and as you can, if you had a chance to look at him in my work, you know, Dave Burdett and I are in a very similar vein compared to everybody else here. So what I really want to talk about, you know, Larry mentioned moments, but what I really want to talk about is visual imagery and power. And so I'm going to give you a little history lesson first before as we get started. So, you know, break this down. Visual, obtained and maintained by sight, visual impression, producing mental images, vivid. Pictures, imagery is pictures or photographs, language that causes people to imagine pictures in their mind, pictures of people or things in a work of art. And then the power, the ability, the right to control people or things. A person or organization has a lot of control and influence over other people or organizations. Power implies possession of the ability to wield force, permissive authority or substantial.
I've got a couple of pictures coming up, but first of all, this is like one of these moments of the collision between wet plate and glass plates and modernity. So 15 years ago, I had an assignment from Time Magazine to do a whole thing on the bicentennial of Abe Lincoln's birth. And I'm all over Kentucky and Illinois and all these places where there was Lincoln stuff. And the last thing I did was go to the Library of Congress and see the original glass plate. And the conservators got the white gloves on. The 8 by 10 inch glass plate taken by Alexander Gardner, who had taken his mule-driven wagon up to Antietam in 1863 to photograph Lincoln with General McClellan and Pinkerton, his security guy. And I'm shooting this with my then brand new Canon 5D digital camera. It's kind of awesome because it's 12 megapixels, pretty awesome. And shoot, and I shoot this picture. And I take it home, and it's what you do now. You upload it to the hard drive and bring it into FotoMagico. And I popped it up into Photoshop, and I just think, gee, what happens if I hit Command-I for invert? And then it's just amazingly, that's the world that we now live in. It's no longer agitate your Tri-X every 3 minutes as you cook it for 9 minutes in a tank. This is this crazy world that all of these guys are good for, and between your phone and your cameras, it's a whole other world. I thought, man, this guy is fantastic, and I'm able to talk to him, which is even more far out. He spent a week with Steve McQueen, hanging out. He was the quintessential excellent hangout photographer. On the Yankee Stadium at the end of Mickey Mantle's career when he had just struck out, and this kind of very moving picture where he got out of the photo pen and got a picture of Mantle as he's kind of ticked off and walking back to the dugout. And he did a story with Frank Sinatra, and I tried earlier today to find out if the book is still published. I can't find it, maybe it's out there, but they said to John Domino's, this is about, I don't know, 66, 67, maybe 68, spend some time with Frank Sinatra. Let's do the Life magazine story on Frank Sinatra. Well, he told me that he didn't even take a picture for like the first 4 days. He's just trying to become part of the wallpaper around Frank Sinatra. And he didn't want to push it. And Life and Geographic were the two magazines where they invested in the photographer, and they would just, whatever you need, take it. And so John would kind of hang out with him and just wanting to be seen as unthreatening. And finally, at one point, about the third or fourth day, Frank wanted a picture with some schmo in Vegas. And he said, hey, John, take a picture of us for whatever his name was. And that was the first picture he took. And he got it to the point and I did trade prints with John. I have a print of this at home somewhere. Sinatra, 3 martinis into dinner, said, well, I know how to pull the tablecloth off the table without disturbing everything on there, which he didn't really get it right, but he was like wing. And Dominus got this picture. It was like fantastic. So understanding the best, I just got the award. If anybody is going to be down in Florida in 3 weeks in Palm Beach, they're awarding me the Mentor of the Year award. And I'm thinking, I don't think I've ever really mentored, quote unquote, taken anybody under wing and looked in their donkey bag or anything. But I understand that there's a whole other side of mentoring, at least in my way of thinking there are. Now, I didn't know John Dominus when he shot this. I didn't know a lot of the photographers whose work I've admired, but I've studied the pictures. I've looked at the photographs. I've tried to replay in my own head, how did they make that picture? And people have told me, oh my God, I love the work you did on Iran and so and so and so and so. And I'm thinking, well, maybe there is something about not having that intimate contact, but you speak through your pictures, and your pictures can talk for you. And I look at the way John Dominus handled Frank Sinatra, and David Douglas Duncan